later. Initially, he was walkie-talkie, he was fine, but he started progressing worse. Things were just going worse for him, his breathing, his oxygen. And it got to a point that, he was literally dying. And this was in the earlier stages of COVID-19. And so he was tired of fighting. He was tired of the breathing. He was tired of breathing against this gunk of infection in his lungs. And he said, you guys just need to let me die. And it just stood with me. I was the physician that had to eventually say, okay, are you sure, sir? He's like, yes, just let me go. And so I had to write that sign. I had to sign and write that order, withdraw oxygen. The minute we withdrew oxygen, he was dead. And this was somebody who was talking to us and, giving us with us. As soon as we took off that oxygen, boom, dead. So that sticks to my mind. This is not something that you want to mess with at all.
Now, how old was this individual?
This individual, I want to say, he was in his maybe late 50s, early 60s.
So he was a young man, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And this is a black or white man?
He was actually Hispanic.
Hispanic, okay. And we know Hispanics too. Hispanics obviously mean them like the Mexicans, the Puerto Ricans. That's so for those of our audience, members of our audience who don't know what Hispanic means. So like they are the browner skinned people as opposed to the black people, right?
Yes.
Okay, and he just went for a funeral, and probably he might have caught that COVID-19 at the funeral. Was it a funeral of a person who died from COVID-19 as well?
It was if I can't remember. I don't want to say that. Right. I'm not quite sure. It was in the earlier parts. His family
came in. Mm-hmm. So he came in with symptoms such as what? Cough? What were the initial presenting symptoms?
So he came in with cough. He came in with the loss of taste. He came in with the shortness of breath. And the shortness of breath was the trigger that made him decide to come to the hospital. He had the muscle ache.
He walked in.
He walked in. He walked in. He had the muscle aches. He had the tiredness. That's what I remember. And then he was just on a little bit of oxygen. And then all of a sudden we're having to increase the amount. And he went from somebody who was like functioning, you would see him, you could be probably able to just, do common household chores, to someone who looked like he had been, feeble and chronically sick for a long period of time. He just changed in matters of days. And despite
what was the duration? What was the period of time from admission to death?
It was, I want to say it was about a week.
About a week.
Mm-hmm.
And his family was, obviously they were not allowed to come in. They were outside, and so they probably didn't have the chance to say goodbye to him, you think?
Well, this was in the beginning when we decided that we will start allowing family in the early beginning. They were also traveling from that funeral when they heard that he was in the hospital. So when he said, I am going to die and I am ready to die, our hospital put in place, we fully gowned the family members and allowed them to come in.
I see. I'm sure they were grateful for you. Let them do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's tragic, and that's a story that unfortunately happens all over the United States and all over the world too many times. So thanks for sharing that. We're going to take a quick break now, folks, and then we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. We've been talking about COVID-19 in the U.S., and of course, there are lessons that we can learn from that in Nigeria. For example, we've been talking about, ever since we started these shows, NTA shows, we've been saying your health is in your hands. You cannot take things lightly. If you have hypertension, you want to make sure you check your blood pressure, especially if you're over the age of 40. You want to make sure you check your blood pressure regularly. If your doctor determines that you have hypertension, you need to be on antihypertensive medications. Don't take this lightly. The same thing with diabetes, the same thing with other health conditions. COVID-19, probably more than any disease, has shown us that you have to take your health seriously. As we've said over and over and over again, those who die, those who have the severe form of the disease, and even those who survive, don't forget, that's never, many times it's not the end of the story. Some of them have long-lasting physical and mental health challenges that come as a result of the initial infection. So please, your health is in your hands. It makes a lot of sense to be strong, to be healthy, to fight for your health and that of your families, so that when things like COVID-19 happen, I'm not saying it's just because of COVID-19, but when things like COVID-19 happen, I mean, it applies to injuries, it applies to road traffic accidents, it applies to strokes, it applies to anything. We know that those who have been taking care of their health prior to the incident, prior to the events, they tend to have a better prognosis. They tend to be able to, their course of treatment, they respond more to their course of treatment if they were healthy, healthier prior to the event than if they were not healthy. And I can give you story after story after story. Bottom line, what we know about COVID-19 is that it thrives in the presence of a weak immune system. I mean, that's not the only thing. But if your immune system is weak, if your immune system is dysregulated, COVID-19, as the Dr. Edionwe has said, it triggers, it activates all kinds of bad stuff happening around your body. So it's very important. It's very important that your immune system is well nourished and well fed. That's why we keep on talking about, are we ready, Doc? We keep on talking about vitamin D. We keep on talking about vitamin C. And there it is. You see, that's a doctor who's taking it. I'm sure you and your family.
Yeah.
Vitamin C. And of course, what's the third one? Zinc. And zinc. Do you take this every day, Doc?
I do. Because I want my immune system to be at par when I'm seeing these patients. Yes.
Absolutely. And that's a doctor talking. Many times with doctors, sometimes, I'm not going to say all doctors, but sometimes doctors don't believe in supplements. Right now, you absolutely should, because our diets simply do not have all the nutrients that you need to be able to fight COVID-19. I'm particularly vulnerable because I travel a lot. I mean, I've crushed since the past 2 or so months I've been in the States. I've been traveling back and forth. I have to take a special care of my health, a special care of my immune system. So I'm taking my vitamin D, I'm taking my zinc, I'm taking my vitamin C, I'm taking immune boosters, I'm taking multivitamins, I'm taking everything, because I'm walking in and out of planes. I'm in crowds. I'm in restaurants. I'm going back and forth. I cannot afford to take chances, especially in a foreign country. So it's very, very important. I mean, it doesn't matter. Even if you are not going around, if you're staying indoors and you're a black person, you need to be on vitamin D, because you're not getting enough sun, which your body needs to make vitamin D. So you need to be on vitamin D. We cannot overemphasize these things. So especially during this Christmas period, this winter, well, we don't have winter in Nigeria, but a lot of people are going to be staying indoors. So please take care of yourself. Doc, thank you so much again. Do you have any final words you want to give to your countrymen and women?
No, I think we'll all get through this. Just be really mindful of your surroundings when you're in public. Try to wear a mask. Protect yourself. Right. If you can, before you eat, wash your hands. You don't want what you're touching and you put it in your mouth or your eyes. You don't want that to be how you get it. So just be mindful, and we'll get through this. We'll definitely get through this. And like you said, take your vitamins, and when you can, see your doctor. and we'll get through this. Thank you for having me on your show.
And thank you for being on. Very well said, and we hope we can get you on